Astronomers clock extremely high winds on a failed star outside of our solar system. For the first time, scientists have been able to measure the wind speed on an object outside of our solar system, according to a new study. The object, known as a brown dwarf, is 33.2 light-years away from Earth. Brown dwarfs aren't quite stars, but they're not planets either. These so-called failed stars are too big to be planets. The brown dwarf in this study is the size of Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, but it has 40 times the mass of Jupiter. On the nearby cool brown dwarf 2MASSJ 1047+21, scientists clocked wind speeds reaching 1450 miles per hour. The study published Thursday in the journal Science. Previously, scientists have only been able to measure wind speeds on planets and bodies in our solar system. The new findings ruled out models that were used to guess wind speeds outside of our solar system. This new technique opens the way to better understanding the behavior of atmospheres that are unlike anything found in our solar system, said Peter Williams, study author and innovation scientist for the Center for Astrophysics, collaboration between the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory and the Harvard College Observatory. The measurement was made using a new technique that combined a detection of radio and infrared emissions. This allowed scientists to know the wind speed of a distant object, even though they couldn't pick out cloud movement in its atmosphere. On Earth, for example, say you have a cloud being blown by some wind, said Catalin Allers, study co-author and physics and astronomy professor at Bucknell University. If you're looking down at Earth from space, you could measure the speed of a continent as it rotates in and out of view, and a different speed for the cloud as it rotates in and out of view. And that difference in speed occurs because wind has pushed that cloud relative to the surface, Allers said. Distant brown dwarfs and exoplanets, or planets outside of our solar system, are a little more complicated. We can't see the clouds themselves, but when a cloud rotates into view or out of view, it changes the brightness of the planet, she said. Even though brown dwarfs are completely covered in clouds, they're too far away for us to pick out individual clouds like we do on planets within our solar system. But we can still measure how long it takes for a group of clouds to do a lap around the atmosphere. As clouds come in and out of view, they change the brightness of the planet, Williams said. This lap time depends on two things: how fast the brown dwarf itself is spinning, and how fast the wind is blowing on top of that. Data from NASA's recently retired Spitzer Space Telescope, as well as from the National Science Foundation's Carl G. Jansky Very Large Array of Telescopes in New Mexico, was crucial for the measurement. The scientists were able to monitor the brightness of the brown dwarf and track its changes. Because the brown dwarf is cold, it emits infrared light. Spitzer, an infrared telescope, was designed to pick up its signal. The Jansky array allowed them to use radio waves to determine the rotation beneath the atmosphere by detecting the planet's magnetic field. Since the magnetic field originates deep in the planet, or in this case brown dwarf, the radio data allows us to determine the interior period of rotation, Allers said. When you have an interior rotation rate and an atmospheric rotation rate, you can compare them to see how fast the wind is blowing. Similar to Jupiter, this brown dwarf's atmosphere is rotating faster than its interior. But Jupiter's wind speeds max out at 230 miles per hour, slow and steady, compared to the screaming winds of the brown dwarf. But the 1450 miles per hour clocked speed agrees with previous predictions by astronomers that brown dwarfs would have high winds. This new technique developed during the study could be used to measure wind speeds on other brown dwarfs and exoplanets as well, the researchers said. We're excited that our method can now be used to help us better understand the atmospheric dynamics of brown dwarfs and extrasolar planets, Allers said. This is an artist's illustration of a brown dwarf, or a failed star object, and its magnetic field. The brown dwarf's atmosphere and magnetic field rotate at different speeds, which allowed astronomers to determine wind speed on the object. This artist's illustration shows an intermediate mass black hole tearing into a star. This is an artist's impression of a large star known as HD 74423 and its much smaller red dwarf companion in a binary star system. The large star appears to pulsate on one side only, and it's being distorted by the gravitational pull of its companion star into a teardrop shape. This is an artist's impression of two white dwarfs in the process of merging. While astronomers expected that this might cause a supernova, they have found an instance of two white dwarf stars that survived merging. A combination of space and ground-based telescopes have found evidence for the biggest explosion seen in the universe. The explosion was created by a black hole located in the Ophiuchus cluster's central galaxy, which has blasted out jets and carved a large cavity in the surrounding hot gas. The red supergiant star Betelgeuse, in the constellation of Orion, has been undergoing unprecedented dimming. This image was taken in January using the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope. This new ALMA image shows the outcome of a stellar fight. A complex and stunning gas environment surrounding the binary star system HD 101584. NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope captured the Tarantula Nebula in 2 wavelengths of infrared light. The red represents hot gas, while the blue regions are interstellar dust. A white dwarf, left, is pulling material off of a brown dwarf, right, about 3,000 light-years from Earth. This image shows the orbits of the 6G objects at the center of our galaxy, with the supermassive black hole indicated with a white cross. Stars, gas and dust are in the background. After stars die, they expel their particles out into space, which form new stars in turn. In one case, stardust became embedded in a meteorite that fell to Earth. This illustration shows that stardust could flow from sources like the Egg Nebula to create the grains recovered from the meteorite, which landed in Australia. The former North Star, Alpha Draconis or Dubin, is circled here in an image of the northern sky. Galaxy UGC 2885, nicknamed the Godzilla Galaxy, may be the largest one in the local universe. The host galaxy of a newly traced repeating fast radio burst, acquired with the 8-meter Gemini North telescope. The Milky Way's central region was imaged using the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope. This is an artist's illustration of what Mambo 9 would look like in visible light. The galaxy is very dusty, and it has yet to build most of its stars. The 2 components show that the galaxy is in the process of merging. Astronomers have found a white dwarf star surrounded by a gas disk created from an ice giant planet being torn apart by its gravity. New measurements of the black hole at the center of the Home 15A galaxy reveal it's 40 billion times more massive than our Sun, making it the heaviest known black hole to be directly measured. This image, which combines observations from the Chandra X-ray Observatory and the Karl Jansky Very Large Array, shows a black hole that is triggering star formation, nearly 1 million light-years away from it. The large red bubble on the left is a hot gas bubble, and the dots of light to the right of it are 4 galaxies where star formation has increased. The host galaxy of the black hole that released the gas bubble is the bright point of light to the right of the golden light at the center. A close-up view of an interstellar comet passing through our solar system can be seen on the left. On the right, astronomers used an image of Earth for comparison. The galaxy NGC 6240 hosts 3 supermassive black holes at its core. Gamma-ray bursts are shown in this artist's illustration. They can be triggered by the collision of neutron stars or the explosion of a supermassive star, collapsing into a black hole. 2 gaseous clouds resembling peacocks have been found in neighboring dwarf galaxy, the Large Magellanic Cloud. In these images by the ALMA telescopes, red and green highlight molecular gas, while blue shows ionized hydrogen gas. An artist's impression of the Milky Way's big black hole flinging a star from the galaxy's center. The Jack-O-Lantern Nebula is on the edge of the Milky Way. Radiation from the massive star at its center created spooky-looking gaps in the nebula that make it look like a carved pumpkin. This new image from the NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope captures 2 galaxies of equal size in a collision that appears to resemble a ghostly face. This observation was made on 19 June 2019 in visible light by the telescope's advanced camera for surveys. A new sphere VLT image of Hygiea, which could be the solar system's smallest dwarf planet yet. As an object in the main asteroid belt, Hygiea satisfies right away 3 of the 4 requirements to be classified as a dwarf planet. It orbits around the Sun, it is not a moon, and, unlike a planet, it has not cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. The final requirement is that it have enough mass that its own gravity pulls it into a roughly spherical shape. This is what VLT observations have now revealed about Hygiea. This is an artist's rendering of what a massive galaxy from the early universe might look like. The rendering shows that star formation in the galaxy is lighting up the surrounding gas. Image by James Joseph Ide Swinburne Astronomy Productions, Christina Williams University of Arizona and Ivo Lab Swinburne. This is an artist's illustration of gas and dust disk around the star HD 163296. Gaps in the disk are likely the location of baby planets that are forming. This is a two-color composite image of Comet 2I Borisov, captured by the Gemini North Telescope on September 10. This illustration shows a young forming planet in a baby-proof star system. Using a simulation, astronomers shed light on the faint gaseous filaments that comprise the cosmic web in a massive galaxy cluster. The Hubble Space Telescope's Wide-Field camera observed Saturn in June, as the planet made its closest approach to Earth this year, at approximately 1.36 billion kilometers away. An artist's impression of the massive bursts of ionizing radiation exploding from the center of the Milky Way and impacting the Magellanic Stream. The Atacama Large Millimeter-Submillimeter Array captured this unprecedented image of two circumstellar disks in which baby stars are growing, feeding off material from their surrounding birth disk. This is an artist's illustration of what a Neptune-sized moon would look like orbiting the gas giant exoplanet Kepler 1625b in a star system 8,000 light-years from Earth. It could be the first exomoon ever discovered. This infrared image from NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope shows a cloud of gas and dust full of bubbles, which are inflated by wind and radiation from massive young stars. Each bubble is filled with hundreds to thousands of stars, which form from dense clouds of gas and dust. This is an artist's impression of the path of the fast radio burst FRB 181112, traveling from a distant host galaxy to reach the Earth. It passed through the halo of a galaxy on the way. After passing too close to a supermassive black hole, the star in this artist's conception is torn into a thin stream of gas, which is then pulled back around the black hole and slams into itself, creating a bright shock and ejecting more hot material. Comparison of GJ 3512 to the Solar System and other nearby red dwarf planetary systems. Planets around a solar mass stars can grow until they start accreting gas and become giant planets such as Jupiter in a few millions of years. But we thought that small stars such as Proxima, TRAPPIST-1, Tigran-Dernos star and GJ 3512 could not form Jupiter mass planets. A collision of three galaxies has set three supermassive black holes on a crash course with each other in a system 1 billion light-years from Earth. 2I Borisov is the first interstellar comet observed in our solar system and only the second observed interstellar visitor to our solar system. KIC 8,462,852, also known as Boyagian star or Tabby star, is 1,000 light-years from us. It's 50% bigger than our Sun and 1,000 degrees hotter. And it doesn't behave like any other star, dimming and brightening sporadically. Dust around the star, depicted here in an artist's illustration, may be the most likely cause of its strange behavior. This is an artist's impression of a massive neutron star's pulse being delayed by the passage of a white dwarf star between the neutron star and Earth. Astronomers have detected the most massive neutron star to date due to this delay. The European Southern Observatory's Vista telescope captured a stunning image of the Large Magellanic Cloud, one of our nearest galactic neighbors. The near-infrared capability of the telescope showcases millions of individual stars. Astronomers believe Comet C 2019 Q4 could be the second known interstellar visitor to our solar system. It was first spotted on August 30 and imaged by the Canada-France-Hawaii telescope on Hawaii's Big Island on September 10, 2019. A star known as S02, represented as the blue and green object in this artist's illustration, made its closest approach to the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way in 2018. This provided a test for Einstein's theory of general relativity. This is a radio image of the Milky Way's galactic center. The radio bubbles discovered by Meerkat extend vertically above and below the plane of the galaxy. A kilonova was captured by the Hubble Space Telescope in 2016, seen here next to the red arrow. Kilanovae are massive explosions that create heavy elements like gold and platinum. This is an artist's depiction of a black hole about to swallow a neutron star. Detectors signal this possible event on August 14. This artist's illustration shows LHS 3844b, a rocky nearby exoplanet. It's 1.3 times the mass of Earth and orbits a cool dwarf star. The planet's surface is probably dark and covered in cold volcanic material, and there is no detectable atmosphere. An artist's concept of the explosion of a massive star within a dense stellar environment. Galaxy NGC 5866 is 44 million light-years from Earth. It appears flat because we can only see its edge in this image captured by NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope. The Hubble Space Telescope took a dazzling new portrait of Jupiter, showcasing its vivid colors and swirling cloud features in the atmosphere. This is an artist's impression of the ancient, massive and distant galaxies observed with ALMA. Glowing gas clouds and newborn stars make up the Seagull Nebula in one of the Milky Way galaxy's spiral arms. An artist's concept of what the first stars looked like soon after the Big Bang. Spiral galaxy NGC 2985 lies roughly over 70 million light-years from our solar system in the constellation of Ursa Major. Early in the history of the universe, the Milky Way galaxy collided with a dwarf galaxy, left, which helped form our galaxy's ring and structure as it's known today. An artist's illustration of a thin disk embedded in a supermassive black hole at the center of spiral galaxy NGC 3147, 130 million light-years away. Hubble captured this view of a spiral galaxy named NGC 972 that appears to be blooming with new star formation. The orange glow is created as hydrogen gas reacts to the intense light streaming outwards from nearby newborn stars. This is Jellyfish Galaxy JO201. The Eta Carinae star system, located 7,500 light-years from Earth, experienced a great explosion in 1838, and the Hubble Space Telescope is still capturing the aftermath. This new ultraviolet image reveals the warm glowing gas clouds that resemble fireworks. Oumuamua, the first observed interstellar visitor to our solar system, is shown in an artist's illustration. This is an artist's rendering of ancient supernovae that bombarded Earth with cosmic energy millions of years ago. An artist's impression of CSIRO's Australian SCA Pathfinder radio telescope, finding a fast radio burst and determining its precise location. The Whirlpool galaxy has been captured in different light wavelengths. On the left is a visible light image. The next image combines visible and infrared light, while the two on the right show different wavelengths of infrared light. Electrically charged C60 molecules, in which 60 carbon atoms are arranged in a hollow sphere that resembles a soccer ball, was found by the Hubble Space Telescope in the interstellar medium between star systems. These are magnified galaxies behind large galaxy clusters. The pink halos reveal the gas surrounding the distant galaxies and its structure. The gravitational lensing effect of the clusters multiplies the images of the galaxies. This artist's illustration shows a blue quasar at the center of a galaxy. The NICER detector on the International Space Station recorded 22 months of nighttime X-ray data to create this map of the entire sky. NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope captured this mosaic of the star-forming Cepheus E and Cepheus B regions. Galaxy NGC 4485 collided with its larger galactic neighbor NGC 4490 millions of years ago, leading to the creation of new stars seen in the right side of the image. Astronomers developed a mosaic of the distant universe, called the Hubble Legacy Field, that documents 16 years of observations from the Hubble Space Telescope. The image contains 200,000 galaxies that stretch back through 13.3 billion years of time, to just 500 million years after the Big Bang. A ground-based telescope's view of the Large Magellanic Cloud, a neighboring galaxy of our Milky Way. The inset was taken by the Hubble Space Telescope and shows one of the star clusters in the galaxy. One of the brightest planetary nebulae on the sky and first discovered in 1878, nebula NGC 7027 can be seen toward the constellation of the Swan. The asteroid 6478 Gault is seen with the NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope, showing two narrow comet-like tails of debris that tell us that the asteroid is slowly undergoing self-destruction. The bright streaks surrounding the asteroid are background stars. The Gault asteroid is located 214 million miles from the Sun, between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. The ghostly shell in this image is a supernova, and the glowing trail leading away from it is a pulsar. Hidden in one of the darkest corners of the Orion constellation, this cosmic bat is spreading its hazy wings through interstellar space 2,000 light-years away. It is illuminated by the young stars nestled in its core. Despite being shrouded by opaque clouds of dust, their bright rays still illuminate the nebula. In this illustration, several dust rings circle the Sun. These rings form when planets' gravities tug dust grains into orbit around the Sun. Recently, scientists have detected a dust ring at Mercury's orbit. Others hypothesize the source of Venus's dust ring is a group of never-before-detected co-orbital asteroids. This is an artist's impression of globular star clusters surrounding the Milky Way. An artist's impression of life on a planet in orbit around a binary star system, visible as two suns in the sky. An artist's illustration of one of the most distant solar system objects yet observed, 2018 VG18, also known as far out. The pink hue suggests the presence of ice. We don't yet have an idea of what far out looks like. This is an artist's concept of the tiny moon hippocamp that was discovered by the Hubble Space Telescope. Only 20 miles across, it may actually be a broken-off fragment from a much larger neighboring moon, Proteus, seen as a crescent in the background. In this illustration, an asteroid, bottom left, breaks apart under the powerful gravity of LSPMJ0207 plus 3331, the oldest coldest white dwarf known to be surrounded by a ring of dusty debris. Scientists think the system's infrared signal is best explained by two distinct rings composed of dust supplied by crumbling asteroids. An artist's impression of the warped and twisted Milky Way disk. This happens when the rotational forces of the massive center of the galaxy tug on the outer disk. This 1.3 kilometer, 0.8 mile radius Kuiper Belt object discovered by researchers on the edge of the solar system is believed to be the step between balls of dust and ice and fully formed planets. A selfie taken by NASA's Curiosity Mars rover on Vera Rubin Ridge before it moves to a new location. The Hubble Space Telescope found a dwarf galaxy hiding behind a big star cluster that's in our cosmic neighborhood. It's so old and pristine that researchers have dubbed it a living fossil from the early universe. How did massive black holes form in the early universe? The rotating gaseous disk of this dark matter halo breaks apart into three clumps that collapse under their own gravity to form supermassive stars. Those stars will quickly collapse and form massive black holes. NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope captured this image of the Large Magellanic Cloud, a satellite galaxy to our own Milky Way galaxy. Astrophysicists now believe it could collide with our galaxy in 2 billion years. A mysterious bright object in the sky, dubbed the cow, was captured in real time by telescopes around the world. Astronomers believe that it could be the birth of a black hole or neutron star, or a new class of object. An illustration depicts the detection of a repeating fast radio burst from a mysterious source 3 billion light-years from Earth. Comet 46P Wirtanen will pass within 7 million miles of Earth on December 16. Its ghostly green coma is the size of Jupiter, even though the comet itself is about 3/4 of a mile in diameter. This mosaic image of asteroid Bennu is composed of 12 polycam images collected on December 2 by the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft from a range of 15 miles. This image of a globular cluster of stars by the Hubble Space Telescope is one of the most ancient collections of stars known. The cluster, called NGC 6752, is more than 10 billion years old. An image of a PEP captured with the Visser camera on the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope. This pinwheel star system is most likely doomed to end in a long-duration gamma-ray burst. An artist's impression of galaxy Abell 2597, showing the supermassive black hole expelling cold molecular gas like the pump of a giant intergalactic fountain. An image of the Wild Duck cluster, where every star is roughly 250 million years old. These images reveal the final stage of a union between pairs of galactic nuclei in the messy cores of colliding galaxies. A radio image of hydrogen gas in the Small Magellanic Cloud. Astronomers believe that the dwarf galaxy is slowly dying and will eventually be consumed by the Milky Way. Further evidence of a supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy has been found. This visualization uses data from simulations of orbital motions of gas swirling around about 30% of the speed of light on a circular orbit around the black hole. Does this look like a bat to you? This giant shadow comes from a bright star reflecting against the dusty disk surrounding it. Hey, Bennu! NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission, on its way to meet the primitive asteroid Bennu, is sending back images as it gets closer to its December 3 target. These three panels reveal a supernova before, during, and after it happened 920 million light-years from EARTH from left to right. The supernova, dubbed IPTF-14GQR, is unusual because although the star was massive, its explosion was quick and faint. Researchers believe this is due to a companion star that siphoned away its mass. An artist's illustration of Planet X, which could be shaping the orbits of smaller extremely distant outer solar system objects like 2015 TG387. This is an artist's concept of what SIMP J01365663 plus 09333473 might look like. It has 12.7 times the mass of Jupiter, but a magnetic field 200 times more powerful than Jupiter's. This object is 20 light-years from Earth. It's on the boundary line between being a planet or being a brown dwarf. The Andromeda Galaxy cannibalized and shredded the once large galaxy M32P, leaving behind its compact galaxy remnant known as M32. It is completely unique and contains a wealth of young stars. 12 new moons have been found around Jupiter. This graphic shows various groupings of the moons in their orbits, with the newly discovered ones shown in bold. Scientists and observatories around the world were able to trace a high-energy neutrino to a galaxy with a supermassive rapidly spinning black hole at its center, known as a blazar. The galaxy sits to the left of Orion's shoulder in his constellation and is about 4 billion light-years from Earth. Planets don't just appear out of thin air, but they do require gas, dust and other processes not fully understood by astronomers. This is an artist's impression of what infant planets look like forming around a young star. These negative images of 2015 BZ509, which is circled in yellow, show the first known interstellar object that has become a permanent part of our solar system. The exo-asteroid was likely pulled into our solar system from another star system 4.5 billion years ago. It then settled into a retrograde orbit around Jupiter. A close look at the diamond matrix in a meteorite that landed in Sudan in 2008. This is considered to be the first evidence of a protoplanet that helped form the terrestrial planets in our solar system. 2004 EW95 is the first carbon-rich asteroid confirmed to exist in the Kuiper Belt, and a relic of the primordial solar system. This curious object probably formed in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter before being flung billions of miles to its current home in the Kuiper Belt. The NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope is celebrating its 28th anniversary in space with this stunning and colorful image of the Lagoon Nebula 4,000 light-years from Earth. While the whole nebula is 55 light-years across, this image only reveals a portion of about 4 light-years. This is a more star-filled view of the Lagoon Nebula, using Hubble's infrared capabilities. The reason you can see more stars is because infrared is able to cut through the dust and gas clouds to reveal the abundance of both young stars within the nebula, as well as more distant stars in the background. The Rosette Nebula is 5,000 light-years from Earth. The distinctive nebula, which some claim looks more like a skull, has a hole in the middle that creates the illusion of its rose-like shape. This inner slope of a Martian crater has several of the seasonal dark streaks called recurrent slope linea, or RSL, that a November 2017 report interprets as granular flows, rather than darkening due to flowing water. The image is from the HiRISE camera on NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. This artist's impression shows a supernova explosion, which contains the luminosity of 100 million suns. Supernova IPTF-14HLS, which has exploded multiple times, may be the most massive and longest-lasting ever observed. This illustration shows hydrocarbon compounds splitting into carbon and hydrogen inside ice giants, such as Neptune, turning into a diamond rain shower. This striking image is the stellar nursery in the Orion Nebula, where stars are born. The red filament is a stretch of ammonia molecules measuring 50 light-years long. The blue represents the gas of the Orion Nebula. This image is a composite of observation from the Robert C. Byrd Green Bank Telescope and NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer Telescope. We still don't understand in detail how large clouds of gas in our galaxy collapse to form new stars, said Rachel Friesen, one of the collaboration's co-principal investigators. But ammonia is an excellent tracer of dense star-forming gas. This is an illustration of the Parker Solar Probe spacecraft approaching the Sun. The NASA probe will explore the Sun's atmosphere in a mission that begins in the summer of 2018. See that tiny dot between Saturn's rings? That's Earth, as seen by the Cassini mission on April 12, 2017. Cassini was 870 million miles away from Earth when the image was taken, according to NASA. Although far too small to be visible in the image, the part of Earth facing Cassini at the time was the southern Atlantic Ocean. Much like the famous pale blue dot image captured by Voyager 1 in 1990, we are but a point of light when viewed from the furthest planet in the solar system. NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, using infrared technology, reveals the density of stars in the Milky Way. According to NASA, the photo, stitched together from 9 images, contains more than 500,000 stars. The star cluster is the densest in the galaxy. This photo of Saturn's large icy moon, Tethys, was taken by NASA's Cassini spacecraft, which sent back some jaw-dropping images from the ring planet. This is what Earth and its moon look like from Mars. The image is a composite of the best Earth image and the best moon image taken on November 20, 2016, by NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The orbiter's camera takes images in 3 wavelength bands: infrared, red and blue-green. Mars was about 127 million miles from Earth when the images were taken. PGC 1,714 was initially thought to be a common elliptical galaxy, but a closer analysis revealed the incredibly rare discovery of a Hoag-type galaxy. It has a round core encircled by 2 detached rings. NASA's Cassini spacecraft took these images of the planet's mysterious hexagon-shaped jet stream in December 2016. The hexagon was discovered in images taken by the Voyager spacecraft in the early 1980s. It's estimated to have a diameter wider than 2 Earths. A dead star gives off a greenish glow in this Hubble Space Telescope image of the Crab Nebula, located about 6,500 light-years from Earth in the constellation Taurus. NASA released the image for Halloween 2016 and played up the theme in its press release. The agency said the ghoulish-looking object still has a pulse. At the center of the Crab Nebula is the crushed core, or heart of an exploded star. The heart is spinning 30 times per second and producing a magnetic field that generates 1 trillion volts, NASA said. Peering through the thick dust clouds of the galactic bulge, an international team of astronomers revealed the unusual mix of stars in the stellar cluster known as Terzan 5. The new results indicate that Terzan 5 is one of the bulge's primordial building blocks, most likely the relic of the very early days of the Milky Way. An artist's conception of Planet 9, which would be the farthest planet within our solar system. The similar cluster orbits of extreme objects on the edge of our solar system suggest a massive planet is located there. An illustration of the orbits of the new and previously known extremely distant solar system objects. The clustering of most of their orbits indicates that they are likely be influenced by something massive and very distant, the proposed Planet X. Say hello to dark galaxy Dragonfly 44. Like our Milky Way, it has a halo of spherical clusters of stars around its core. A classical nova occurs when a white dwarf star gains matter from its secondary star, a red dwarf, over a period of time, causing a thermonuclear reaction on the surface that eventually erupts in a single visible outburst. This creates a 10,000-fold increase in brightness, depicted here in an artist's rendering. Gravitational lensing and space warping are visible in this image of near and distant galaxies captured by Hubble. At the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way, researchers discovered an X-shaped structure within a tightly packed group of stars. Meet UGC 1382. What astronomers thought was a normal elliptical galaxy, left, was actually revealed to be a massive disk galaxy made up of different parts when viewed with ultraviolet and deep optical data, center and right. In a complete reversal of normal galaxy structure, the center is younger than its outer spiral disk. NASA's Hubble Space Telescope captured this image of the Crab Nebula and its beating heart, which is a neutron star at the right of the 2 bright stars in the center of this image. The neutron star pulses 30 times a second. The rainbow colors are visible due to the movement of materials in the nebula occurring during the time-lapse of the image. The Hubble Space Telescope captured an image of a hidden galaxy that is fainter than Andromeda or the Milky Way. This low-surface brightness galaxy, called UGC 477, is over 110 million light-years away in the constellation of Pisces. On April 19, NASA released new images of bright craters on Ceres. This photo shows the Helani crater, which is evidence of landslides from its rim. Scientists believe some craters on the dwarf planet are bright because they are relatively new. This illustration shows the millions of dust grains NASA's Cassini spacecraft has sampled near Saturn. A few dozen of them appear to have come from beyond our solar system. This image from the VLT survey telescope at ESO's Paranal Observatory in Chile shows a stunning concentration of galaxies known as the Fornax cluster, which can be found in the southern hemisphere. At the center of this cluster, in the middle of the three bright blobs on the left side of the image, lies a CD galaxy, a galactic cannibal that has grown in size by consuming smaller galaxies. This image shows the central region of the Tarantula Nebula in the Large Magellanic Cloud. The young and dense star cluster R136, which contains hundreds of massive stars, is visible in the lower right of the image taken by the Hubble Space Telescope. In March 2016, astronomers published a paper on powerful red flashes coming from binary system V404 Cygni in 2015. This illustration shows a black hole, similar to the one in V404 Cygni, devouring material from an orbiting star. A new map of the Milky Way was released February 24, 2016, giving astronomers a full census of the star-forming regions within our own galaxy. The Apex telescope in Chile captured this survey. This image shows the elliptical galaxy NGC 4889, deeply embedded within the Coma galaxy cluster. There is a gigantic supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. An artist's impression of 2MASSJ 2126, which takes 900,000 years to orbit its star, 1 trillion kilometers away. Caltech researchers have found evidence of a giant planet tracing a bizarre, highly elongated orbit in the outer solar system. The object, nicknamed Planet 9, has a mass about 10 times that of Earth and orbits about 20 times farther from the Sun on average than does Neptune. An international team of astronomers may have discovered the biggest and brightest supernova ever. The explosion was 570 billion times brighter than the Sun and 20 times brighter than all the stars in the Milky Way galaxy combined, according to a statement from the Ohio State University, which is leading the study. Scientists are straining to define the supernova's strength. This image shows an artist's impression of the supernova as it would appear from an exoplanet located about 10,000 light-years away. Astronomers noticed huge waves of gas being burped by the black hole at the center of NGC 5195, a small galaxy 26 million light-years from Earth. The team believes the outburst is a consequence of the interaction of NGC 5195 with a nearby galaxy. An artist's illustration shows a binary black hole found in the quasar at the center of the Markarian 231 galaxy. Astronomers using NASA's Hubble Space Telescope discovered the galaxy being powered by two black holes, furiously whirling about each other, the space agency said in a news release. An artist's impression of what a black hole might look like. In February, researchers in China said they had spotted a supermassive black hole 12 billion times the size of the Sun. Are there oceans on any of Jupiter's moons? The JUICE probe shown in this artist's impression aims to find out. Picture courtesy of ESA AUS. Astronomers have discovered powerful auroras on a brown dwarf that is 20 light-years away. This is an artist's concept of the phenomenon. Venus, bottom, and Jupiter shine brightly above Matthews, North Carolina, on Monday, June 29. The apparent close encounter, called a conjunction, has been giving a dazzling display in the summer sky. Although the two planets appear to be close together, in reality they are millions of miles apart. Jupiter's icy moon Europa may be the best place in the solar system to look for extraterrestrial life, according to NASA. The moon is about the size of Earth's moon, and there is evidence it has an ocean beneath its frozen crust that may hold twice as much water as Earth. NASA's 2016 budget includes a request for $30 million to plan a mission to investigate Europa. The image above was taken by the Galileo spacecraft on November 25, 1999. It's a 12-frame mosaic and is considered the best image yet of the side of Europa that faces Jupiter. This nebula, or cloud of gas and dust, is called RCW34 GUM19. The brightest areas you can see are where the gas is being heated by young stars. Eventually the gas bursts outward like champagne after a bottle is uncorked. Scientists call this champagne flow. This new image of the nebula was captured by the European Space Organization's Very Large Telescope in Chile. RCW34 is in the constellation Vela in the southern sky. The name means sails of a ship in Latin. The Hubble Space Telescope captured images of Jupiter's three great moons, Io, Callisto, and Europa, passing by at once. A massive galaxy cluster known as SDSSJ 1038 plus 4849 looks like a smiley face in an image captured by the Hubble telescope. The two glowing eyes are actually two distant galaxies. And what of the smile and the round face? That's a result of what astronomers call strong gravitational lensing. That happens because the gravitational pull between the two galaxy clusters is so strong it distorts time and space around them. Using powerful optics, astronomers have found a planet-like body, J1407b, with rings 200 times the size of Saturn's. This is an artist's depiction of the rings of planet J1407b, which are eclipsing a star. A patch of stars appears to be missing in this image from the La Silla Observatory in Chile. But the stars are actually still there behind a cloud of gas and dust called Lynds Dark Nebula 483. The cloud is about 700 light-years from Earth in the constellation Serpens, the Serpent. This is the largest Hubble Space Telescope image ever assembled. It's a portion of the galaxy next door, Andromeda, M31. NASA has captured a stunning new image of the so-called Pillars of Creation, one of the space agency's most iconic discoveries. The giant columns of cold gas, in a small region of the Eagle Nebula, were popularized by a similar image taken by the Hubble Space Telescope in 1995. Astronomers using the Hubble space pieced together this picture that shows a small section of space in the southern hemisphere constellation Fornax. Within this deep space image are 10,000 galaxies, going back in time as far as a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. Planetary nebula Belle 33 appears ring-like in this image, taken using the European Southern Observatory's very large telescope. The blue bubble was created when an aging star shed its outer layers, and a star in the foreground happened to align with it to create a diamond engagement ring effect. This long exposure image from the Hubble telescope is the deepest ever picture taken of a cluster of galaxies. The cluster, called the Belle 2744, contains several hundred galaxies as they looked 3.5 billion years ago. The more distant galaxies appear as they did more than 12 billion years ago, not long after the Big Bang. This Hubble image looks a floating marble or maybe a giant disembodied eye. But it's actually a nebula with a giant star at its center. Scientists think the star used to be 20 times more massive than our Sun, but it's dying and is destined to go supernova. Composite image of B14 to 65,666 showing the distributions of dust, red, oxygen, green, and carbon, blue, observed by ALMA and stars, white, observed by the Hubble Space Telescope. Artist's impression of the merging galaxies B14 to 65,666 located 13 billion light-years away. Click subscribe to receive the latest news.